All right, here we go. So, how can God be three in one? I hear this all the time at the prison. I hear this constantly. I especially hear this from some people that are trying to convert over from Muslim to Christianity, or the ones that are converted from Christianity back or to Muslim, and I hear it in the Jubies a lot. Then, why is it necessary to believe in Jesus? Wasn't he just a man? I hear that. And I remember in New England, the lady that was running the bed and breakfast we were at, she said that she had been raised Methodist. I think it was Methodist. But she said now, she says that, I forgot what it was, she was the kind of religion that she was in, but she said, I don't worry about it now because God, or Jesus, is just another prophet.
Universalist.
Universalist, yeah. He's just another, thank you. He's just another prophet. Okay, that's what the Muslims think. So, these questions are, why does it matter if there is a Trinity? So these questions are most often sincere. I mean, I hear some sincere people wanting to know the answer. Well, listen carefully. At times, they are raised only as a smokescreen to shun any personal accountability to God for change. Okay? Especially when I go in there and the Muslims, they want to fight with me. And I don't fight with them. I just give them the truth. And I know enough about their work that when I talk to them, at least they'll listen to me, because they'll go, well, you know stuff about it, you know enough about us. So, okay, we'll listen to you. All right? So this is the first little part. I don't have a whole lot, but it's a whole bunch, but it's just a few verses. The fool says in his heart, there is no God, Psalm 14:1. Somebody said, does the atheist have a holiday? Yep, April Fool's Day. Yeah. Okay. That word fool in the Hebrew means the empty-headed. That's literally what it means, the empty-headed. Says in his heart, there is no God. Now, I hear people say it in their mouth. And they'll say it maybe to calm somebody down off of it, but they still believe. But these guys are saying it in their heart. Okay? Question. How many true gods are there? I meant to put "are" there, I didn't. How many true gods are there? Okay? Here's the answer. One. There's only one true God. The Bible says in Isaiah 45:5, I am the Lord, and there is no other. Apart from me, there is no God. That's powerful. I want to read something to you here. In two different other translations. I'm the Lord, there is no one else. There is no God besides me. I will gird and arm you, though you have not known me. And then the message, I love the message. I am God, the only God there is. Besides me, there are no real gods. I'm the one who arms you for this work, though you don't even know me. Wow. Powerful stuff. So the first question, how many true gods are there? One. Now here goes the hard part. This is the stuff, if I could say, what questions do I get asked the most? Of course, they'll ask me, where did Cain get his wife? That's one of the biggies.
Male or bride?
Well, male or bride. Well, actually, it's estimated that by the time Adam and Eve had reached the 900-year mark, there was possibly as many as 10,000 people on this earth. And they did that just by genetically, every 20 years, every 30 years, how to do it, put two together, and two and two and two. God doesn't want us marrying brother and sister now, but the only way logically that Cain could have had a wife, it didn't say he found her in the land of Nod, it said he knew her in the land of Nod, which means that's when they had the relations, that's when they had a child. So it's a possibility that Cain married his sister. It didn't say, the Bible says, they just speak of the ones that's carrying on the line. You look all the way through the Old Testament, here's such and such, and he has blah, 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 and then sons and daughters. Because you give the name of the ones that carry on the line, and then it says sons and daughters, And sometimes they say how many sons and daughters they have, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a good possibility that Cain married his sister. Now, so here we go. Where did God come from? That's my next big question I get. Well, where did he come from? I tell you what, if you make it to heaven, ask him. If you don't make it to heaven, I'll ask him for you. Okay, ready? This is a logical question. Although I hear it all the time, it's still a logical question. I wanted to know it at one time. Here's where you got to watch. That's why I got everything underlined and picked up, because you got to understand this. With this point I'm making, if you don't understand this point, then you miss the whole thing. God has no beginning and no end. None. He's eternal. We can't fully understand a being who has always been, because we are limited by time. We live in the confines of time. He lives outside of time. When somebody dies, they go outside of time. Now, when they do, you're either going to be eternally with God or eternally with the devil. So we have to fully understand this. Now remember, he's always been, we're limited. But God is not measured by time. It's impossible. You can measure the ages of God by time. This is the Old Testament. Here's the New Testament. This is the age of grace. The dispensations. This is the dispensation of the garden of knowledge. Of your. I'm trying to think of the word for it right now, but it's not knowledge. But still, you got conscience. The conscience, and then you got on down the line. And then you can look at the covenants. You can go God by the covenants that He's done along the way. But still, you cannot measure God by time. You can measure His acts by time. You can't measure Him by time. Remember that. You can measure His acts by time, but you can't measure Him by time. Okay? So, here we go. Now here's the next. Here it goes. God's not measured by time. He measures time by Himself. That's some powerful stuff. All this stuff that's going on here. All of this. I mean, can you imagine? He already knew about the airplanes, knew about the helicopters, he knew about atomic bombs, and he goes and shows Peter the atomic bomb, and Peter says, the window shades are going to roll up. They're going to roll up like a scroll. That's a nuclear bomb. And you see the Old Testament prophets saying, we saw scorpions jumping from mountaintop to mountaintop. You know what a scorpion is? That's a helicopter. There's Black Hawk helicopters. You know, scorpions. And so we see chariots raising from mountaintop to mountaintop, jets. Those guys didn't know what they were looking at. They'd never seen anything like that. So these prophets just go, well, this is what it looks like, so I'm going to write it down. We see it. And I can remember as a little boy hearing about the end time prophecy in 666, and they were talking about how it's going to be 666. And at that time, if you bought a computer, it was humongous. It filled his room. If you bought, I remember when I was going to engineer school, it was the first year they had left the slide rule and went to the calculator. And so because with the engineering calculator, we had a class on how to use the calculator. And my calculator was like a wedge of cheese. Okay, a big old wedge of cheese, and it had so many batteries in it. It was about, you know, you had to have your belt tighter, and you would drag. And now that same calculator doesn't make anymore. TI-30. Now they make them that actually can spit out and do graphs for you and all this stuff. And you can go to the Dollar Tree, and buy a calculator more powerful than that TI-30 was. Back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and I went to college and wrote on clay tablets. Okay?
So that hadn't even been invented when I went to school.
Yeah.
All we could do was two-sign, edge strap book like the Bible.
Yeah. So it's just it's amazing. Yeah, they do.
And use that slide.
Well, I remember when I went to Fountain, I had always done mechanical drawing, electronic drawing, and done all my drawing on just a T-square and a drawing table. Then I went to something called a drawing machine. That drawing machine was awesome. And so I go to Fountain, and when I go to Fountain, they said, do you know CAD? I said, no, my CAD, every time I did a CAD, I'd send it in Cincinnati, and they would CAD it there and send it back to us. And they said, well, we want you to do CAD. We're going to send you to school for CAD. And so some of those young guys, the interns, come in doing CAD, and honestly, when the power went out, they were helpless. But you know what? My drawing machine was not even battery operated. I could draw and draw and draw and draw and draw. DC can tear up a CAD drawing. I mean, he's so good at it. You know, and he does okay with his regular drawing too, but I got him when it comes to mechanical drawing, machine. You know, but he got me on the computer. Okay, so again, all this stuff has happened and changed, and the guys didn't know it. And can you imagine? And can you imagine? Look at this. All the stuff that was in the Apollo which was Apollo that went? Apollo 11 was the one that landed on the moon first, right? Apollo 11. Do you know that this phone right here has more computing power than the lunar module had that landed on the moon the very first time?
Wristwatch has more.
Yeah, can you imagine? That's got more in it, more computing power than the Apollo that landed on the moon. So it's some powerful stuff. But see, we didn't know this. I didn't know this back then. I remember when I got my first calculator, I thought I was bad to the bone. I was just trying to find ways to add stuff up. You know, so